we're diving into episode 1 and 2 of Lord of the Rings. Kick it off, Jordan.
Yes. So the first two episodes are out. They released actually Thursday evening. Um, and I watched them when I was dead tired. I was planning on reacting to them, but I was just so exhausted and the timing was just bad. And I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna watch. I'm just gonna sit back and watch it on my TV and just to see what happens. So here are my honest thoughts. Because I was thinking about this a lot today, getting prepared for this. My initial thoughts were, number one, and I've been saying this since the trailers came out. The show looks beautiful. The visuals are fantastic. It is one of the, to me, one of the best one of the best shows I've seen visually in terms of the CG work. They spent so much time in post-production, it's insane. But besides the Galadriel stuff, especially in episode 1, the other storylines I'm not really caring too much about. But obviously this is just the first 2 episodes. I'm not expecting to fall, because there's people who've instantly fell in love with the show with these first 2 episodes, and that's fantastic. But for me, I'm not there yet. And especially with episode 2, because see, there was a lot of people before the episodes officially released for everyone else. There's a lot of people saying episode 1 is slow and episode 2 really picks up. I actually liked episode 1 more than episode 2. And that may be a little jarring for some people, but I honestly liked episode 1 better. The first big chunk of the episode where it's Galadriel and everything before it actually gets to the actual logo in episode 1, I really liked that stuff. I really liked that big chunk. And then just the rest of the stuff, I'm like, okay, we're introducing all these characters to Harfoots, and okay, there's this mystery, the stranger at the end of episode 1. But when we get into episode 2, I just really wasn't connecting with it. I think it looks beautiful. I just wasn't connecting with the storytelling. And this is what kind of scared me, because I thought the marketing was like visually awesome. They were showing some great shots, but they were really not talking too much about story until the very end, when they really had to, because they were about to release the show. And I'm not really connecting with the most of the story. I'm glad that Galadriel stuff, at least for me, works, because she seems like she's like the main character of the show with screen time. But everything else, it's going to take some time. But I mean, I think the cast is great. I just think the storytelling just leaves me a little feeling like, okay. I mean, so overall, I think it's solid. You know, I'm hoping that the next episodes will pick up and everything, but I'm not loving it. I'm not loving it. How do you feel about it, sir?
I had a bigger love for this, and it's funny because I'm not even like, I have never read the Lord of the Rings or the Hobbit or anything like that. So like for me, like, I only have ties to this franchise through the movies and, you know, like other media stuff, but barely. And so for me, when it comes to the show, for me, like I've always loved this world. I've always loved this universe of, like, you know, just, you know, it's a good adventure story, that, you know, and it's also very classical, you know, good versus evil. Like, you know, back in a time where, you know, it was a little simpler than this. And you know, like Galadriel is definitely, you know, for me, like she's a selling point. But I will say that, and the whole thing with Nori and the stranger is like, I'm giving, like, is he
Is
Gandalf?
I
Like
think
I feel like he's supposed to be, like, he is someone that we have seen in the movies. Like he has to be someone like bonkers insanely big that we've seen in previous stories. But like, yeah, I love the first 2 episodes. I think episode 2 is like, wait, like, yeah, and everything. I understand the the issue people have with the pacing and so on. But the thing is, we're introducing a whole new era of Lord of the Rings that we haven't seen before. That has, you know, like, don't, as far as I know, they don't exist necessarily as books. There's like ideas and concepts by J.R.R. Tolkien, but I don't know if they like. There's no Rings of Power book that they're pulling this from.
there's a chapter Rings of Power, but it's not this story, from what I'm understanding.
Yeah, and that makes sense to me. Because Christ, could you imagine, like, because you know, the thing people had issues with Hobbit was that it's just one little book you made into 3 movies. Could you imagine if they took one chapter and made it into 5 seasons of a television show? People would be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" But no, for me, I think that these 2 first episodes, they need to do world building. Like, think about it. Like, okay, let me. Okay, so let me take this to compare to maybe some of the Arrowverse pilots, which again, in production, like there is no competition. Lord of the Rings is winning, all right, but I'm talking about just in terms of like if you look at the Flash pilot, the Superman pilot, the Black Lightning pilot, the Arrow pilot, and so on, those pilots in in general, when you look at all those four first episodes, whatever, they're setting the ground for what this what their world looks like, like who are these characters, like what like what are some traits about that we should know and so on. And then they started going deeper into like why does something happen or why is something the way it is, etc. And I felt like with Lord of the Rings, like episode 3, Lord of the Rings 5 episode 3, I felt we are going to pick up more steam as well because they only have, but also they also get a lot of things covered in that 1 hour, because that's the thing, like we're used to having, if for us who watch still network television, we get 40 minutes if we're lucky. But now we actually had like 60 minutes where, like, yes, the reason it's a little bit slower is because they're now actually getting time to tell everything. If this had been done for, I don't know, if this had been done for like Fox or CBS or so on, you bet like there'd be a lot of things that would feel rushed because like they have to get to something. And then there's about deleted
Yeah.
Blu-rays and DVDs that you have to see deleted scenes from. But I think our Galadriel is, like she is phenomenal. Because she was one of the characters yeah, Galadriel was someone I connected with, in those original movies with Katie Blanchett, and it's like, and of course, it's so hilarious seeing all the people who are like, the obvious people who hate this, that
Mhm.
is like, but like, what do you think Galadriel did before she became where she is in the movies? Like, she obviously had a life of her own, and like, why could, for all we know, she could have been. There you go. She could have been like a warrior queen or whatever, and so what, like a warrior elf or something. But I love that. And Nora in the stranger storyline is very intriguing to me. I think again, because there's a lot of character names that I don't know much about, that I cannot remember because it's, again, there's like 25 series regulars or something like that. But like I love the little bickering between that elf and the dwarf, who he's supposed to be related to someone that we know, right? Like he's someone's ancestor or whatever.
I think so. Yeah.
Disa, I love Disa. She is hilarious. She's like the best dwarf on the show right now. But yeah, I would say, like, for example, like things didn't get interesting until the end of the episode 2, when it came to the mother and his son, her son, who found, it's
Mhm.
supposed to be Sauron's sword, right?
Yeah, I think that's what that is. And people and obviously people are already theorizing who's Sauron in the show, who's hiding as Sauron. It's gonna be somebody we're probably not expecting, or it's gonna be a guessing game. Because Sauron's not gone, clearly. We know that. So who is pretending to be somebody yet? Like, who is Sauron pretending to be?
Which
And
one of these motherfuckers is a scroll?
exactly, they're all scrolls. Jennifer, there's no hate. You've seen the movies. You definitely need to see them. You definitely need to see
They're great. Watch extended cuts.
yeah, watch the longer version. Trust me, it's going to feel like a nightmare to get through, but it's worth all the extra stuff that Peter Jackson did. And to the point I want to bring up again is that the super chat about Galadriel becoming her movie self, and I understand your point. I don't think that's going to happen until towards the end of the show. Like, not the season. I mean, the end of the show was when they might start implementing what you're used to seeing from Galadriel, because this is a Galadriel that lost her brother, that fought to try to stop Sauron and everything. And look, the whole setup in that first episode, like, really establishes where she's at right now. So this whole thing of her becoming what we're kind of used to in terms of Lord of the Rings, that's far away. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's time jumps between each season, like significant time jumps.
Oh yeah, I think that I would not be surprised if the first 2 seasons are kind of set within the same kind of times. But by the time we get to season 3, that's when they kind of jump ahead,
Mhm.
because it all depends on like when we will actually get season 2.
I mean, and we get this point, but I mean, it's a very different time period. She was in a war. She had
Yeah.
she had to, because her brother died, and then there's the marking of Sauron on him. So, like, the way that's established, there's no way she could not pick up the sword. And
Mhm.
obviously, with that last minute decision of her brother telling her, and that's why she jumped off the boat at the end, because she knows it's not done. She knows that this whole thing of the war's over, it's crap. Like, she just did it because she didn't want to cause a problem with the king. Like, there was already issues, going on. Like his Elrond told her, if you do this again, like, you're already pushing it already now. And so when that little moment where he's about to hand her the crown, like that little thing, like, there was a hesitation there. He's like, are you going to accept this and accept the fact that this is done?
No.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a power struggle.
yeah, and it's like a thing to where, is she going to speak up and what she really believes that Sauron is still out there? That's why she wanted to keep pushing. Yes, but she knows at that moment she wasn't going to win. That it was just going to not go in her favor. So now with her MIA, essentially, what they think that she's gone now, but she's not. It's gonna be interesting to see what happens when she comes back.
Well, I think that like also because people are also used to that, because even though Galadriel is very, she's phenomenal in those movies because of Kate Blanchett's performance, we have to also remember she doesn't like she never got to take part of the wars. She never got to be part of any fight scenes, anything like that. She's a very, I don't want, it's passive is not the word I'm looking for. She has a function, but like she is not like physically integral. In concept, she is. So, and I think that's what people are so pissed off is the fact that they're thinking that they're taking away a character that we all knew, but it's like we don't really know. Like, if you've only seen the movies, we don't really know much about her. So now we're seeing it's her origin story. We're seeing her origin story of how she's becomes the legend that she's known to be. But also it's giving her another layer. I think I do think that they're like that. And I know there's been debate about like, is this connected to the movies or not, and so on. And I love that no matter what franchise we talk about, it is this show connected to this TV show? Are they set in the same universe? Is this movie set in the same universe? Is parallel Earths, whatever, and so on? I beg to God, Amazon Prime never considers a Lord of the Rings multiverse because it will be a nightmare. When it comes to Sauron, like I feel like I'm hoping they've already decided who that's gonna be.
I think they have, yeah. Because they're filling it at the end of the season, maybe.
I just don't. If it is the Meteor Man, it's gonna be so cheesy because I'm like, guys, it's too simple. It needs to be. I think like Sauron has been in the first 2 episodes. We've seen the face. We just don't know who it is yet. But God forbid if Sauron ever takes on a female form, because we know who's gonna be angry about that.
My dog.
Yeah, Lucy's gonna be like,
she's gonna be angry. The fuck? Yeah, Lucy's gonna be so pissed. Because like if I tell Lucy, hey, so Sauron's a girl, she's gonna go, fuck! What the fuck? God damn it! That's I don't know how I got that leaked footage, but I did.
She looked like you almost.
Yeah, and then here's the thing: when Sauron reveals himself, this is what he's gonna be saying to everybody when they see the shock on their faces when this is Sauron.
I'm 10 steps ahead of you, and you haven't even figured out what game we're playing yet.
I had to pull the clip.
I had another clip.
I had to pull the clip.
This motherfucker kept talking so much about Prometheus today when we were talking about She-Hulk on the phone that I'm just like, I feel like he's building up to something, but I don't know what he's trying to say here.
Sauron's always 10 steps ahead of everybody.
Oh Lord.
Final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I enjoy the show, and it's been nice to have because I haven't really had a good fantasy show for a hot minute like this, because I never got into Game of Thrones, and I will never get into Game of Thrones. So for me, this is my fantasy epic that I will be tuning in for every week.
Mm-hmm.